Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Kristen Donnelly, and I am one of the good doctors of Abbey Research. And today's edition of Abbey Research Reads is on the book Coffeeland by Augustine Sedgewick. Coffeeland is about capitalism and immigration and farming, but mostly it's about El Salvador. And it focuses on the story of a guy named James Hill, who brought himself up from the slums of Manchester through a lot of luck and ingenuity and resources that were available to him as a white person and a whole lot of other things, and essentially turned El Salvador into a monocrop country with great social disparity. It's a long book. It's one of, I'll be really honest, like I think it's good, but I think it's skimmable. And for me, it was one of those books that was trying to be a couple different things at once. Like it was trying really hard to be a social commentary and also a history book and also a something else. And Sedgwick's other books evidently are a lot about labor history, and that came through here quite a bit. Not necessarily to the detriment, but there was a couple times where I was like, okay, what's the bigger story here? And how is this anecdote serving the bigger story? I can't see. I got lost in the weeds a few times. And so it's one that if you are particularly interested in agriculture, this is a great one. It talks a lot about the process of monocropping and how it really screwed over El Salvador. If you want to investigate, how immigration affects, essentially this kind of immigration, or James Hill's immigration was another form of colonization onto El Salvador. Like he colonized El Salvador in a lot of ways through this process of creating this coffee venture. It was his vision, it was his dream. And the book is really good at demonstrating that before James Hill showed up, there actually really wasn't any level of poverty in El Salvador. Everybody lived kind of equally. And you can make the argument that that's because it was the 1800s and there wasn't as much resource disparity anywhere in the world. I don't think that's true. I think you can look around. But it's pretty clear that the introduction of this monocrop and the way that the world's markets reacted to it is a huge part of the kind of complete entrenched disparity that exists in El Salvador to this day. At one point in the book, it talks about how 13 families controlled like 90% of the wealth in the country. That's not good. It's never good, especially because then those 13 families often very clearly, because this is how money works, control the government. So you don't have, even if there was a democracy, even if there was elections, you don't really have them. You have 13 families in charge of the whole country. And that's not good. It's not good, because we need more voices at the table than 13 families with all the wealth, and people need to have more resources. So this kicks off the week of El Salvador in our Colonizers World Tour that we do on our other channel, our sister channel, the main channel to this one, which we hope you are subscribed to. Colonizers World Tour started in the early part of 2021 when we realized that there was a lot of places around the world we knew nothing about. And if colonization is the force that shaped the world in the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries, which it totally is, we need to investigate it more and know more about it. So we pick a different country each week. We usually gather them and focus them around who colonized them and have those kind of conversations. And this week we'll be talking about El Salvador. We'll be doing a 101 video with some basics. We'll be viewing some art and talking about the art. And then here on this channel, we're talking obviously about this book, about Coffeeland. Colonization is a separate thing in El Salvador, but we have to talk about this coffee as colonization as well. So I'll be bringing it up and talking about it a little bit over there as to how James Hill's behavior deeply affected El Salvador in ways that even colonization did not, and what that kind of meant and how it set things up and what it kind of looked like. And it was happening, his domination in a way was happening hand in hand with the Industrial Revolution, and a whole lot of, as global inequity around the globe began to really shake out into more entrenched matters, we see this pretty clearly in El Salvador. So overall, interesting for sure. This is one of those ones where if somebody made a 47-minute documentary about it, I'd like it a lot better. It gets into a lot of very rich details. And while I love details, like this one tripped over the edge for me, that doesn't mean that you won't really enjoy it. If you love the nitty gritty of history, if you love the nitty gritty details, if you read Ron Chernow and do not think he is long-winded, you'll love this book. I like Ron Chernow. I would like him to have a different editor for my personal taste. So overall, Augustine, Sedgewick Augustine knows what he's doing. He's a good writer. He's been doing it for a long time. He knows how to tell a story. So don't sleep on this one. If any of the topics are of you, you may find it more engaging than I did. Always possible. We're different people. But if nothing else, know that coffee and El Salvador go hand in hand, for better or worse. It's not necessarily even a judgment statement on James Hill. This is what he did at the time to make money for himself and build his own empire. The people of El Salvador were not necessarily his priority or on his radar. They maybe were a little bit more or a little bit less even to some of his descendants, but for whatever, however you feel about it, he shaped El Salvador almost more than any other single human being besides maybe Bishop Romero, who is who we're going to be talking about in the art. But I don't know, I would even argue that in terms of the day-to-day lives, James Hill is probably the one that we need to talk about the most. And he's a kid from the slums in Manchester. When we think about what that kind of means for a country that probably when he was born, he couldn't have found on a map. And I'm not even sure when he got in a ship to sail there, he could have found it on a map. Humans, man, it's wild. Anyway, those are kind of my rambling thoughts, which I know, but I am a little fresh in reading this book and also really fresh in my research in El Salvador, and cannot wait to keep digging in and digging my teeth in to understand more about this fascinating, fascinating country. If you liked this video, then please hit the thumbs up. If you like the kind of analysis, subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in Colonizers World Tour and any of the other empathy building things that we do on the sister channel, the larger Abbey Research channel, please subscribe there as well. It's been great speaking to you. I'm Dr. Kristen Donnelly. My book today was Coffeeland by Sedgewick Augustine, and we'll see you next time. Bye.